welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're doing something a little different.
Yeah.
We're taking a deep dive into just one single word.
Oh, interesting. Which one?
Meticulous. You, our listener, actually sent us a fantastic word study on it.
Ah, meticulous. Okay.
So our mission today is basically to unpack it, get under the hood, and see what makes it tick. There's some surprises, I think.
Oh, word origins are always fascinating like that.
Yeah.
Especially when, the history seems to totally contradict how we use a word now.
Exactly. So let's get into it. Where does this word actually start? The study you sent traces it back to Latin, right? Meticulosus.
That's right, meticulosus. But the really interesting part is where that comes from.
Okay.
Its root is metus.
Yep.
M-E-T-U-S.
Oh.
It's an older Latin word.
And metis means
Fear.
fear. Just
Yeah.
fear.
Fear. So meticulosus originally meant something like fearful or timid.
Whoa. Okay, hang on. That's wild. How do we get from fearful or timid to our modern idea of meticulous? Someone being incredibly careful and precise. That feels like a huge leap.
It does seem like a leap, doesn't it? But you can sort of see the thread. The idea is that the modern sense evolved because the caution, the extreme care, was linked to that older meaning.
How so?
Well, maybe a fear of making a mistake or a fear of getting something wrong. So that intense carefulness is the action you take to avoid the thing you're maybe subconsciously a bit fearful of.
Ah, okay. So it's less about being actively scared and more about the careful actions driven by, like, a desire to prevent errors.
Exactly. It shifted from the feeling of fear to the behavior aimed at preventing negative outcomes.
That actually makes a lot more sense now. Okay, so with that history in mind, how do we define meticulous today? What's the modern definition?
The standard definition now is something like showing great attention to detail, very careful and precise.
Right. Precision and detail.
Yeah, it really emphasizes thoroughness.
And the study you sent mentioned some nuance there too, right? It's not just careful.
No, definitely not. The nuance is key. It suggests a level of thoroughness, a precision that really goes beyond just ordinary carefulness.
Stronger, mates?
Stronger than careful, yeah. And more focused on the tiny details than just being, say, organized. Generally, it's a real positive, a compliment.
No. Didn't the study also mention it could sometimes imply being a bit much, like overly fussy?
That's a fair point it raised.
Yeah.
Yes. While it's mostly positive, if that attention to detail becomes excessive, to the point where it actually slows things down or seems obsessive, then it can tip over into being seen as fussy or maybe a bit pedantic.
Context is everything then.
Absolutely.
Okay, so looking at how it's typically used, the study listed some common pairings, collocations, things like meticulous attention to detail.
Right. Almost sounds redundant, but it drives the point home.
Yeah. And meticulous planning, meticulous record keeping, a meticulous approach.
Yeah.
Seems like it often describes processes.
Exactly. Where that precision really matters. And the study gave some great examples, too, like everyday stuff, someone being meticulous about organizing their kitchen.
Oh, I can picture that. Everything labeled, facing the same way.
Right. Or maybe he edited the report with meticulous care. That means every comma was checked. Or an artist being meticulous in recreating every tiny detail. Or the study even said maybe your mom is meticulous when it comes to cleaning.
Yeah, maybe a little too close to home for some of us.
And then in more formal settings, like news reports, the investigation involved meticulous review of surveillance footage. You definitely want that kind of review to be meticulous.
Absolutely. No room for error there.
Or an accountant getting praised for her meticulous work. Or big events like meticulous planning ensured the summit went smoothly.
So let's bring it back to you, the listener. Why should you care about all these layers in just one word?
Wow.
I think understanding its journey, from fear to precision and its nuances, it helps you appreciate when someone is being meticulous, but it also lets you use the word more precisely yourself, right? Adds a tool to your own communication kit.
That's a great way to put it. And maybe a final thought to leave you with, thinking about that surprising origin. Does being meticulous today, that intense focus on detail, does it still carry like a tiny echo of that original fear, that fear of getting things wrong? Is the drive for perfection sometimes, maybe just subtly, rooted in wanting to avoid mistakes, control things, or even avoid criticism? Something to think about.
That is something to think about. A really interesting connection. Well, thank you for sending in that word study. It clearly gave us a lot to unpack. Keep exploring words, everyone. They really do have fascinating stories.